Hi, today I'm going to talk about the question, am I a good person? And this is part of a series of healing emotional wounds. And so I have a playlist on Facebook, on YouTube, and you'll be able to find all of these emotional wounds that we're going to be talking about healing. And this one's really important because this can cause a really big unconscious psychological hang up. And it can be really frustrating because you're like, I can't believe I'm still asking this question. Like, am I a good person? But it keeps coming up. It keeps coming up, and it's fueling some unconscious behaviors that I want to point out in this because I don't know that people understand the connection between some of their behaviors and these wounds. So we're going to take a look at what this causes, and then I'm going to talk about how to solve this, how to resolve this, and some ways to kind of bend the mind and the body and the neurology to really make space for what we want in here, which is more self-acceptance and making more peace with the self, and which is going to cause all sorts of wonderful things like just um, there's I talk about I don't know how to say this one exactly, so I'm going to show you how this is how I recognize this, is there's glitches in the program. And somebody wants to do the right thing but can't. And there's like a glitch, or they do it and then they fumble up right there. There's a glitch in there. But I want you to be able to recognize these behaviors and then say, I wonder if I have this issue, or hey, and this might be circling around in your conscious mind a lot. Am I a good person? Am I a good person? So, and more things. Okay, so let me introduce myself. I'm Rachel McLeod. I'm a mental health therapist and an emotional wellness coach, and I specialize in helping people do the brain work for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. I have a specialty in complex PTSD recovery, and yeah. Oh, I want to tell you this, that the brain has a really beautiful process for resolving symptoms, but sometimes it gets stopped and blocked. And that's the case with complex PTSD, anxiety, and depression, that the brain can't go through its natural process for resolving these symptoms, and that process is very fast. It's very beautiful, and when that process is blocked, we're going to see symptoms pile up, back up, and do all sorts of things. And so I really specialize in getting that unblocked. And so we talk to a different part of the brain in its native language, which is the body. And so we're, instead of doing a lot of talk therapy, which focuses on the conscious mind, we really support the survival system part of the brain, the part that blocks the healing process, and then we guide the conscious mind to do some work as well. So, but if we get this process up and running, you will watch your symptoms resolve very, very quickly. And this is one of those symptoms that your brain needs to resolve for you. This is something that I am going to, in this video, really try to uh, change your mind about, really give you some ideas and some insights and really expand your mind around this. But I really, the real victory is when your neurology changes, your neurology expands to help you grow. That's where it's at. That's where your mind body system can just help you elevate, higher function, connect deeper, like all your desires. Your brain, this is the same process of resolving symptoms, is the same brain process for resolving, for healing, for growing, for making deeper connection, for all the satisfying things that we need to accomplish. This process does it. And it kind of uses what's fueling the symptoms at its brain food, its information, its data. It's like, oh, okay, let me check the maps. Now that I've got that symptom process, I see it's different now. And the brain immediately goes to work making shifts and changes for you. And that results in expansion and growth. And so that's why we talk a lot about post-traumatic growth. It's a real thing because your brain is finally processing the data in traumas. So because this process is up and running and it's natural to your brain, but it does need specific support, and we give it that. And that's what all of my programs and interventions help do, is give that brain the support it needs to finish its work, the work in the body, in the subconscious, and resolving questions and hangups like, am I a good person? So, this "am I a good person" piece is this is foundational. We want to see everyone come out of childhood with the answer to this and feel really great about this and know who they are. However, this is something that often we come out of childhood with things like I'm not certain, or I'm certain I'm a bad person. And but all of this is on the same topic that we're going to talk about today. But when this is the case, when these are in the back of the mind and they're unresolved, or in the case we're a bad person and we don't want to be, there's a lot of insecurity that will develop. There's a lot of, we're trying to fight what we think is. And so there's this internal war and struggle. And what we don't want is to find out or to have it confirmed that we are a bad person or that we are not a good person. And so we will have what happens as a result of that, not wanting it confirmed, not wanting to talk about it, not wanting to touch it because it's so painful. Um, and so is that we'll end up being very defensive, and we're fighting over things that people are like, what are you doing? This is not that big of a deal. We're blowing things out of proportion. And that when things are out of proportion is a sign of post-traumatic stress. That the brain, because it hasn't been able to process something, so it doesn't know about it. Well, actually, this is the body a lot. The mind-body system is bringing up stuff from the past that it thinks belongs here. And so it's painful. It's painful like the original wound. And then you have, instead of responding to the present issue, neurologically, what's flowing through you is all the unresolved issues that are very similar. And so you have an overreaction. And so people are overtly defensive about things. And some of the things that they are defensive about is guilt, shame, and these things can really block them from being able to take accountability and to be able to grow and develop. And so if if we can't process shame and guilt, which I have lots of videos about these two guys. Well, I don't know if I've done a lot about guilt, but definitely shame. Shame is very important for the mind body system to be able to process. It's important information. It's actually one of the fastest ways to upgrade your life is to process shame. Go around in your inner world, hunt for shame and get it processed. It's really, it's like a little factory in there. Once you know how to work with your system and get it processing, you just go and you find the things you want processed, and you go back there and you just put them on the little conveyor belt inside. I'm making up a story. There's no conveyor belt. You know this, but it's what it feels like. So it feels like you can just put stuff there and your brain says thanks. And then you just help make sure it gets past the survival system, and voila, it starts healing and processing. So, um, but um, but what happens is that guilt will start moving through our system, which means it gets loaded on the conveyor belt. And then it comes up, and it's because it's painful, the survival system throws it off the conveyor belt, it goes back into the body, and then the body's like, oh, we didn't get it through. And guilt is important information. Shame is important information. It's part of our system. It's natural to us. It's part of our healing team. Our body and mind body system is designed to use that and create health and wellness. If we're not good at processing it, if our family isn't good at process it, and we haven't had a successful practice processing it, our system acts like it's an invader. This is bad. It's like an autoimmune disorder. It's like you're fighting your own stuff. And so we end up, survival system feels it coming through the nervous system, and it throws it off and suppresses it and get away from it. And so we'll see very sharp defensive behaviors from people if we try to hold them accountable. Hey, you didn't unload the dishwasher. I did. Or why are you bringing that up to me? You didn't do it last week, right? And now we're fighting about things that are just not really the issue. And the root of this is unconsciously is this belief, this fear that maybe I'm a bad person. Am I a good person? Not knowing there's insecurity in the system. And so you're going to keep fighting about things like unloading the dishwasher because it's actually brushing up against a wound that somebody has. Just like if we had a broken bone and you brushed up about, we'd see overreactions. They're not overreactions. There's actually a wound there, right? And you bumped it. But we don't know we're doing this with each other. We don't know where the emotional wounds are. But all we can tell is, whoa, what's up with you? It's just about unloading the dishwasher. And then we learned, I'm not asking them that, which is not it's not, that we bury them in our relationships and then we're mad about everything else. And so it's really important to, if we resolve this, am I a good person? There's lots of the defensiveness. Your brain will take down the defensiveness automatically. Just like if your bone heals and somebody brushes it and it doesn't hurt, the brain is learning, oh, we don't need to protect it so hard. There's a natural upgrade, and pretty soon you notice that you're using your arm just like you would before, and you're getting all these tests and results that say, oh, we can apply pressure, people can bump into it, and then the system goes back into relax. Same thing with wounds, like, am I a good person? Is that you're going to be guarding it because it's a deep wound. If it gets brushed or touched, shame will flow through your system, worry, distress, fear. One of the big insecurities here is the fear that it's going to be confirmed that it's true, that I'm not a good person, and we're in here fighting. Well, and we might say this in our. I'm not trying to say you're a bad person. I'm just saying that you didn't unload the dishwasher, and I would like to know why, right? And so, but when people are distressed like that, they're already in a survival state and they might not be able to come out of it yet. And so now we're the moment is lost to distress, and the person wants to prove and reassure and give all the excuses why they did this, and just make sure you know that they're not that they're not a bad person. I have a little hair floating. So this takes up time. It ruins relationships. It creates a distance. We want to reduce intimacy, so we'll have a lot of strategies and tactics to reduce intimacy, over talking, seeking excessive reassurance. Those are not intimacy builders, right? And so we're having all these fillers that are just here. There's just padding around this "am I a good person" wound, and it's creating a barrier. And that is, and this ends up becoming a limit. Like, there's only so far you can go before you run into the walls of "am I a good person?" So it's very caging, and you can feel really trapped. And oh, I saw a good point in there flash by my mind. Okay, why is it a caging? That's what I want to talk about. Oh, because the wound makes it so that you want to stay where it's safe. You don't want to go into a place where somebody might brush up against your wound. And so you really end up staying in your comfort zone, and then eventually people find you there, and then they brush up in your wound there, and then you take up less space and you do less things, and right. And so this can really get out of hand. Sometimes it can get out of hand quickly. Sometimes it can take decades. I have so many people reaching out to me that were totally fine, and then now in their 50s, they're in a mental health crisis. And it's this backup in the system. And finally, the system's like, we need to heal this. And so it kind of just dumps all of the issues on you. And then we've got midlife crises. So if you're in that place, that's a great time to heal, but we don't have to wait till then. We can go and we can heal these emotional wounds now, so that you can take all this padding down and live, and then you'll watch your system automatically open up, and you'll have the courage to start trying things because your brain will make it for you. With the wound not healing, we can't afford to take the risk of it being bumped. We can't afford to take the risk of it having our doubts confirm that maybe we're not a good person. We can't afford to, so we are not going to take risks. We can't afford to take the risks. And so, because we can't afford to take the risks of many things, and relational things and intimacy things, one of the results of that is we're going to be very relationally underdeveloped. We're going to have underdevelopments. And so, and we're going to have a lower skill in taking accountability. Maybe our apologies are trash. It's a thing, that they're just not very skillful. We're low empathy. We have a difficulty seeing other people, holding multiple perspectives at the same time. This one's going to be important for this. We need your brain to be able to do this. It's a natural end product of processing, because brains want to look at the whole picture, but they have to do it piece by piece. And one of the first things brains will start with is, it's all about me, right? That's normal. That's a normal brain thing, because the survival system wants to know, are we going to live or we're going to die? And it's the priority. It wants to know, are we all about me? And then it gets bored with that, and then it starts opening up to the, what about this other thing? What about that other thing? What about this? If processing is happening, if processing is not happening, we're going to see people stuck on this what about me thing, which is a, a, a sliver. It's the same thing that's happening in this am I a good person? It's a unconscious obsession, fixation, and because the system needs to know that to build your subconscious programming. And so once you get this resolved, it's like a little click falls into place and all this growth happens and all this expansion. And so it's really nice to get unhung up on this, and you want to walk your brain through that. Okay. So let me look at my board here. There's a couple of points I want to make. Okay. One of the things that is hugely traumatic for people, and I may cover this entirely in another video because it's a really big deal, but it's really a simple, complex concept. And it happens with so many of the traumas, war, all the violations, the non-consensual acts, violence, all these things that happen. This piece is central to most of them. So I am looking at this, and then we have this, am I a good person here? But it's not always worded like this. And so, but what happens in humans, right? We are infinite. We have the infinite capacity to be anything. And we get our little unwired nervous system gets handed into the hands of our adult, our caregiver, and they begin wiring us. And this, we are wired for many things. And then life goes on and starts wiring us for other things based on our experiences. Brains love to build for what we need. So if you have repetitive experiences, you're going to have neurology around that. And skills, and your brain's working towards mastery because, hey, this is where we're at. My job is to help us create mastery. Let's go. So it's going to be doing that. So by the time you're an adult, you've got all this wiring for all this stuff, and you've got all this infinite wiring, the potential that could get wired in. Okay. And some of the parts of us inside, part of the infinite crew, are antisocial monsters in 100% of us. And this can be really terrifying when people see their monster. And I'm using monster as a very big word. This is a really important concept, so please stay with me as I try to translate it into human, okay? Outside Rachel's brain. But when we see these parts of us that are antisocial, maybe these are the parts of us that want to lie. Maybe these are the parts of us that want to kill somebody. Maybe these are the parts of us that want to manipulate everyone into a headlock and make them do everything that we want them to do. Maybe these are the part of us that are cheaters. This is the part of us that are stealers. I don't know if I said that one yet, but these are the antisocial parts of us. And I will tell you, this is important work, these parts. But because they're antisocial and they scare us, and usually our caregivers, if our caregivers see our monster, I'm going to make that point in a moment. It's an important one, especially for you parents. You need to know that one. But okay, when we see these parts of us, we typically do this, right? We are saying, I want away from this. I don't want to be close to this. I am afraid of this. This is bad. Oh my gosh. I can't be caught with any of these things. Let me put them behind my back and let's pretend they're nothing here to see, folks. And we're staying away from these parts. But the problem with those parts is that they're still there. They're part of your infinite potential neurology. And they keep coming up. And so, but what happens is because we spend so much time pushing them away, they actually don't get to go through the healing pathways, that process, that natural process for healing and resolving things. It doesn't get to go through there. It doesn't get to go to executive functioning land. And that's a whole problem because that's how we integrate these parts of us. But okay, integrate, not a big deal, but this is important. Okay, up here in the brain, there are all these stations. Okay, and if you can't get something into these stations, you don't get to have any influence or control over these things. And so, but when, let's say your inner liar wants to come through, they're going to pass through the word center. They're going to get more words for them. They're going to pass through the morals center. They're going to pick up some morals. The moral crew is going to overhaul them and say, oh, you need this, you need that, you need that. They're growing. This part of you is growing in morals and values. Then you come over here to the skills center. There will skill you up. We could do this thing that you desire to have. We can help you get this based on skills that are pro-social, and that will help you get along with everybody. So they're going to work in there. This is all happening at electric speed. And then they're coming in resources and comfort and tell me all about you. And your system's learning, and it's picking this thing apart. And when it comes out of that factory, it's going to be more integrated, which means it's just made friends with the whole executive functioning team, which is the choice center part of your brain. And so this means that when this part comes up, you're actually going to have choices. And when this part comes up, this lying part, you're going to actually have values and morals and plans, and it's going to help you reach your goals because all those centers are in there, because it's made through there. And so all these things are happening, and this one thing that was bad, but it was a desire. That's what all these little antisocial things are. So when we disconnect, we're actually disconnecting us from our desires, and our life will be very stale and bad and yucky, and unsatisfying. So we actually need these little antisocial teams, our monsters, to get processed. Okay, so, but because they become amazing, and they hold our desires. And this is why I think desires are one of the hardest things for humans to hold, because they're really powerful and they're hard to get integrated, because maybe this one doesn't want our desires, or the social impacts, or just so many challenges humans have with their desires. Maybe their desires being presented in a box that's really disgusting. Right? This is the yucky team. And your system processes all that, takes it apart, finds the good stuff, keeps that, and throws out the yucky stuff, and fills it with the values and morals, all of who you are up here, and helps you succeed and get this desire. And it's going to be in a way that's not yucky. This is hard to trust. This is hard to value, but the people on the earth that are the least safe, that are the most dangerous emotionally, mentally, physically, psychologically, are people that have not integrated their monster. These people have rejected their monster, and so they have no control over it. They have no influence over it, and so they're going to harm. They're going to, not intentionally necessarily, they could become friends with this thing, or they could let it run the streets and not feel any shame or guilt about it, right? They could put no limits on it. But these people, these are the people yelling at you, snapping at you, screaming at you, manipulating you. They have inner monsters that they haven't integrated yet. And so the more at peace we are with, oh yeah, there's lots of me that's antisocial, absolutely. And I know how to support that. I know how to integrate that. I know how to run all of them through the morals and the value center. I'm very comfortable with that process. I've done it a bunch of times. These people are very safe, and you can show them your monster, and they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. Got one of those too. This is what I did with it. Right? And they're helpful, and they're kind, and they're comforting, and they will comfort you with your monster. They'll talk to you about your monster. They're comfortable with this. And those people are really, really wonderful. Now, how parents, how you embrace, encounter, view your child's monster is going to be really important here. Just because we accept the monster and we embrace the monster doesn't mean we like the monster, we approve of the monster, we think the monster's great, and we want to help the monster build some skills. No, we want to help the monster integrate. When your children are going through their stealing phases and their lying phases, their antisocial phases, as children do and need to, children that aren't going through this are going to have some challenges later. They don't feel safe enough to encounter, express, or talk to somebody about the monster, then their own monster, then they're going to remain separated from it as well. And when it comes up, they won't have any skills for it. And so now, many of us have done some things with our monster that we are ashamed of sad about, We are grieving. We are worried about. We are feel incredibly guilty. Some of us have done things, and some of us have thought of doing things that shocked and scared us. Um, and then when this is the truth and we're acknowledging this and we can't get it processed, one thing we have here is, oh, does this mean I'm a bad person? Is this confirmation that I'm a bad person? If I was a good person, I would do this, that, or this or that. And so there's inner conflict, inner war, and we become divided. And there's that glitch in the program, which is the brain saying, I don't know what to do. Me. I know I'm supposed to put these guys together and figure it out, but I can't get them together. And so we help the brain with that process. We send a bunch of safety signaling to the survival system. It wants to know, are we safe or we're not safe? Because this creates pain. And that system is deciding that we're not safe based on pain moving. It's not thinking. It's not a intelligent center like that. Its intelligence is on survival and reactions to pain. And so we're actually going to send it safety signals while pain is moving, and the brain will be able to send that through it to executive functioning, and we're going to see it put it together and figure it out. Because it's true, because we want the brain to hold two things at the same time. Not I'm a monster and I'm a bad person. I'm a monster and I'm a good person. I'm going to stretch that in a moment, because good is good. We're going to throw this away entirely. Maybe not entirely, but we want the brain to be able to hold, I have a monster, I have done terrible things, and I'm still worthy and lovable and right, all those things. And so two things at once. And the brain has to figure out how to do that. And that's your brain's job. It's not your job. I don't want you to do that job for your brain, right? That's like creating codependency. Oh, let me fix your job. Let me do your job for you. I know many of us love to fix it for everybody, and we love to fix it for our brain too. I've worked with you all. I've caught your brain doing this. I've caught my brain. We're doing this. Do not fix this for your brain. Your brain needs to grow these muscles. Don't take these opportunities for your brain and think that they're good. They're not. Because the next time your brain comes into something more complex, you're going to have to go figure that out. And you're not as smart as your brain. Your brain is way better at this than you are. So don't fix this for your brain. You need to support your brain to fix it. And your job is to sit out of this, be conscious of it, and send those safety signals. And I don't know which intervention your brain would like best. That's why I share my 3 favorite ones in my free program, Interventions for Inner World Transformation. So you can try a couple of them and see if they help you create the shift that into processing. Get your survival system to allow processing instead of survival mode. In processing mode, that's that process where all those awesome things happen automatically if they can just get over there. And anything we can get over there really starts that healing process. So we want you to pick up your monster and put it up there, right? These are things that will conflict and make it difficult for your brain to have high self-esteem, high self-concept, to make peace with the self. And so we are going to escort these problems. They're not problems. These difficult things to process. We're going to escort them personally through the process. And then the brain's going to work them through, and it's going to be able to resolve this am I a good person dilemma finally, right? Because we want to know, okay, why are you having difficulty with am I a good person? Your brain will tell you, oh, because of this, because of this, because of this. All of those little guys through the healing process with you. We're not going to get in there and open up and analyze it and think it through and talk it through. We're not. We're going to throw it through the healing pathways, and then we'll talk about it and explore it if you want to. A lot of times we'll pick it back up, we'll review it a little bit and be like, it needs to go through a couple more times, right? And so then we get it out and it's better. Okay, let's put it through a couple more times, and then it's solid and it's beautiful and gorgeous. And your brain will make this stuff for you. But these desires of ours and the bad things we've done with our desires, or the antisocial or the self-harming things we've done with these desires, really, those are really important to process, and they will block you from being able to answer confidently and securely, am I a good person? Okay, let me see here. So that seeing your monster is really important, and I don't want you to be afraid of your monster. Everybody has them, and they deserve to go through the healing pathways just like everybody else, and you need them to. Your brain needs to take that. It's raw material that will be used for your expansion, your growth. Okay, so this is the truth. The truth about am I a good person is that the concept of good is entirely too limiting for our brains to work with well. They're too all or nothing. They're too black or white with no grays in the middle. There's no colors. It's too much of a cognitive distortion. And you're asking your brain a yes or no question where the answer is lots. And so your brain's like, right? And so you're putting it into a position that is setting it up for failure because you're not always a good person. None of us are. But you know what? You're a person. How about that? You're worthy. You probably have some areas you need to grow. Like if you could let your brain be honest with you, this would be really helpful to you. And you and your brain could have a very harmonious, okay, tell me what I need to work on. Tell me what I need to grow. But this will happen unconsciously. The better and better this works for you. The more peace you make with this process, the more support you give your mind body system, your brain will make these upgrades for you, and you'll watch yourself fumble here in 1 minute and come back and be in a situation the next time, and you're performing better. You're more secure. You feel better. You have new ideas, better ideas. So, but what would be so bad if you weren't a good person? Right? Whatever the answer to that is, those are some fears and unresolved material that needs to be processed. There's work, there's strategies for this, there's exercises for this. This is the stuff I'm teaching in my 8-week course, inner world transformation. And I teach a lot of skills, and then we dive fully into this because this is a little bit more complex work because we're working with subconscious programming. And so I teach this in part 4 of my program, but you need to go through the first ones to build all the skills because your brain has to do all these things. It's like, first, can you crawl? Then can you lift your head up? And then you're right. It's like before we can walk, we have to do these things. Brains have to be able to do these things, and we walk it through those checkpoints. And then pretty soon we can really overhaul a lot of subconscious programming. So, and am I a good person is in there because there's conflicting beliefs and ideas and events that have occurred, and your brain has learned a lot of things and has said, and then there were holes in that, and it said, well, we'll just do this, and we need to look through all of that and be like, why are you just doing this? Like, why don't we do something functional? Your brain will figure that out on its own. But so the truth is the answer is infinite here. There's that not only are you a good person, not only are you a bad person, but you're all these things in between. Over here you're less good, over here you're more good, right? There's a lot of stuff going on here, and so we need your brain to be able to wrap around that. And so if you do affirmations and you have this wound and you just tap around, I'm a good person, you're still putting yourself in a corner your brain can't get you out of. And this is why affirmations are not always the best answer here, because we want something bigger even than what you're trying to affirm. We want something more expansive. We don't just want the end product. We want to build skill. We want to build awareness. We want to build peace with the self. We want to be able to support ourselves in all of our forms. We're not just here. It's not just if you just feed the good wolf, then that one will grow. The bad wolf is still in there, and it's going to show up, and it's going to get some of your sheep. Okay, why don't we embrace the bad wolf too in our inner world? You don't have to do this out here on the streets, people, but in your inner world, why don't we embrace this one, soothe this one, get it through the healing pathways and watch it? It's going to become one of the good wolves. That's how it works. And that's how we want it to work. We want you to know all about these things. Whatever we're afraid of, we don't explore anymore. That means we don't build mastery. And so we need to work through that fear, build the courage to embrace some of these scary parts. I remember doing this my first time. And I had this one that was like a spider in my inner world. It was really scary to me. I had a spider phobia back in the day. But I resolved my spider phobia. And then when I was in my inner world, envisioning, like looking for this sensation, I saw this little spider run around. And I thought about being afraid, but then I was like, I'm really not. And so it was moving around really fast. So mentally, I jumped on it and grabbed it. And I laughed like I'm laughing now because I thought this was really silly. But my brain likes to work like this, so I work with it like this. And and I learned so much about that part of myself. It was so beautiful. I almost cried about how beautiful it was and how sincere it was and how ashamed it was, how it didn't want to be seen by anybody. It was afraid, it was vulnerable, right? All these things. And I just sat with that thing and just I can see, I mean, it was just a phenomenal moment of my life in my inner world. And I came out of that and I was less defensive than I've ever been. And it was just, and I was just like, I could put the two things together and I could see this part of me actually standing up as a person, being vulnerable and taking the risk of being seen. And it was just, and I'm functioning better in different areas. It's just phenomenal. And I can tell you hundreds of stories of people working in their inner world in different ways, some in similar ways. Some people, their brain works like mine. And so, and it's always the same result: healing, growth. So, am I a good person is such a small window. We want to stretch that open. And we want to make peace with the fact that you're a bad person, right? We want to make peace with the fact that the goodness and the badness fluctuate. Now, I'm going to tell you that I think there's a lot of religious trauma that is here as well because little brains are trying to grasp big concepts. And instead of really processing things, there's internal fears that have really stuck in there and hung out. And so some of these questions that people will voice is, am I an evil person? And what if you were? That's what we like. We want to spook that out and get it processing. I don't know the answer if you are or not, but can we get that processed? Can we get it processed? Let's let your brain work on it. Even in those scenarios, I've seen people that evil part of them get put up in the moral center, the values, the word center, the skills, and all of a sudden it's not. And all of a sudden it's part of your healing team. Right? It's like they go back in there and they dunk it and they wash it like on the old-fashioned washing machines. They scrub that thing down and then here it comes out all shiny and all the goop gets thrown out. And so I really trust your executive functioning, your emotional intelligence team, your higher brain states, your whole brain state to really make these things what they're designed to be. And there's many parts of us that will activate and come out that have never been out before because we never needed them, our life never called for them. We had all this disorder and distress, so we couldn't really connect with them. And as things start to heal and grow, and then you start growing and you start doing different things and higher functioning things, your nervous system says, oh, wait, let's pull this other part off the shelf. We've been meaning to get this part out of here. Hey, let's get this one wired in. And then you watch expansion happen. Okay, I know I'm telling you stories, but this is how it works. Just maybe not so dramatically, but sometimes it does happen dramatically too. So anyway, I just want to help you understand there's an emotional wound here with am I a good person? There's a way to heal the emotional wound. That healing that emotional wound is life-changing and liberating. And so I want to pull you out of things like affirmations and really get into the brain function. And later, the affirmation will really be fun for you if you choose to use that one again. You might put in a different word. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what your brain will want to do, but it's worth finding out and it's worth exploring. So I hope you found this helpful. The links to the programs I talked about, my free program and my 8-week inner world transformation program, or you can find the links in the description. This is work I do with people one-on-one and in small groups. And so you can find about those opportunities and services on my website. The links are below. And then also, Oh, I also do consultations. So if you are out here and you've done so much work, or you're just wanting to get started and you don't know what to do, or you don't know where you're at now and you want me to have a look and see what's going on, what your brain is working on, what steps, what are your next best steps? I offer that. You can look on my website for that consultation as well. Okay, take care. Bye.